You keep thinking the same way that you think, and your life is going to be the same as it always has been.
Yeah.
So if something's really coded in, and I'm talking like on the motherboard, because we have wetware and software and hardware, and it's all wet and soft and hard. That's a cool way to think about it. If it's in there, how do we change the hardware? Do we start with the wetware first? Do we start with the software first? Like, where do we begin to suss out a construct or a limiting belief system or set of beliefs that we can have a sense in our journey are not of service anymore? They're not here to serve us anymore. We can't fight against them, because if we fight against them, we just feed them. So what does it look like to let those belief systems go so that we can have a new construct? But like, really, how do we do it? How do we do that?
Well, I'll share what the best of what I've found to date. And I'll break it down into some different systems, but the first piece is that we really have to learn how to create a sense of safety and trust in our body. So this is the resource building. And the reason that most people struggle to do, say, meditation as a practice is because when we sit down, that's where we're going to come in contact with where we're actually at, which might be, I'm not actually fully safe. Now,
That's so true.
I didn't realize that I wasn't actually safe because I'd been swimming in my soup the whole time.
Yeah.
But you start to get around other people, and this is where mentors, coaches, guides, friends come in handy, because you can start to sense where someone else is in their nervous system, that maybe they're operating from more joy or safety or trust or self-expression. Okay, cool. So it must be possible. And you can kind of get a feel, okay, I'm not quite there. Okay, cool. So that means as a reflection, I can sense that there's some level of unsafety here. Okay, cool. That makes sense why I can't concentrate and be in pure presence for long periods of time, because how are you going to be in periods of pure presence when there's background unsafety there? So we have to be able to learn how to address that kind of like early attachment piece in regards to developing a sense of safety and trust. So, I mean, somatic work is great for this. I mean, just being around good community is good for this. Learning how to regulate your nervous system is good for this. And you got to get like a baseline of safety on board, of connection on board. So nervous system regulation would really be one of those first pillars that we need to learn how to do. We need to learn how to have a resource of connection, build that resource of connection first. So like we can start to just feel good. If you go on YouTube and do a heart meditation, essentially what you're learning how to do there is activate your own pathways of serotonin, oxytocin, and you're releasing neurohormones, neuropeptides that are feel good. But that's not enough, because what we have to do with that state of connection is then learn how to bring that to all that is not that. So we have to learn how to bring that connection and love into where I'm not feeling safe. That's where actual healing happens, because you're taking connection and you're firing and wiring it with fear, not enoughness, so on and so forth. And you fire and wire that together, it's no longer the same. And you're learning how to be with your own direct experience, so that when you go into those beliefs and you start exploring, you've learned how to be with your experience. Wow, that happened. But really just keep expanding your capacity to be with it. So that's really the first skill, is to get that online. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an expert at it. But you need to learn how to have a resource of connection and how to bring that into slight states of disconnection. So that's the first skill.
It's a really important building block. And I actually love that you said it's first. It's right below our nose. Yeah. It's been there our whole life. It's the first thing we do out of our mother's womb. We take a breath. Yeah. And it's the one thing in argument or sympathetic activation that goes away, which is breathing. And I can't tell you how many times that I had almost 1,000 students in my Breathe program. And there was one gentleman that his testimonial is on the page. And he said, this really allowed me to actually feel. And it's so simple. And I'm not a master. It's not my lane anymore in life. I don't I'm very passionate about breath work, but I'm drawn to a more comprehensive understanding of self and how to express without egotism. But I think breath work is the pillar of beginning because, like you said, if we don't feel safe here, then you can feel it, they can feel it, everybody can feel it. It's like an elephant in the room that everyone can sense. Can we just give this elephant permission to leave? And I think it's easy to hear you say, just work on these things. But I would say, and I wonder how you feel, it's in the science and the practice of breathing and of breath work that we really start to have the stuff bubble up. And then from there, you can meditate. I remember Dr. Belisa Vranich, who gave me some training once. She said, breath work is for people that can't meditate. Which I love because, like you said, when we sit down, you mentioned, we just meet ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why we're twitching and we can't meditate because, so it's the energy that has to move through. Like we're either a river or a dam. So for the people that feel like they're a dam, I really want to piggyback on what you said. Breath work, or the art of breathing, really is putting energy in motion, or emotion, which goes back to thermodynamics, right? So if there's something stuck in us, it's not just sitting and journaling. And if that's all you do, it's not just talking. This is one thing in therapy that I really want to get your take on. Talk therapy is not a somatic experience many times. Talk therapy is more intellectual and trying to understand why and when things happened. But that's not where the healing takes place. The healing takes place in these building blocks. You mentioned one of them. Can you address what I've said and then go into the other ones? I think this is really important. Talk therapy is not everything. It's one thing. It could be great. But it's sold as a golden ticket, and it's really not.
So I'm going to touch on the first piece first. So just to be clear, what I would do with someone, even before going to breath work, and especially with what we're seeing with the rise of plant medicine, I mean, I'm all for breath work. I'm all for plant medicine. But even before that, I'd want to make sure, just like if we're going to go deep sea diving, if we're going to go out in maybe the ocean sometime in Costa Rica, when you come over.
I would love that.
First, we'd put the kit on in the pool. We'd put the mask on, we'd make sure that we can breathe, and then we'll go in the pool. Then let's go in the ocean. Now, the ocean of experience would be where breath work and psychedelics and these other places can take us. They can bring out bigger emotions and experiences. And in the traditions, these were predominantly for people who were adept practitioners. That's when you would move into, you would move later into those practices as you kind of went through your initiate training. So even prior to that, and it doesn't have to be a long experience, I'd want to make sure myself or other people, and I've learned this the hard way, have the capacity just to connect with love, connect with a level of safety from a previous experience. It could just be for a minute. Can we just be with that? Can you recall a memory, a moment in your life where you felt safe, where you felt connected? Maybe it was with an animal, maybe it was a sunset. And can you feel what it feels like to feel safe? Can you feel what it feels like to feel connection? Can you feel what it feels like to feel love? And I've not met one person who hasn't been able to do that yet. For some people it comes easy, some people it takes a minute, but everyone I've ever met is able to do that. Okay, cool. Well, who right now, as you're feeling that, describe what you're feeling. And someone's going to say what? So right now, in fact, let's do it. Right now, recall a memory where you felt just so connected and...
The very first time I ever held my son.
And how did that feel in your body?
Pure unconditional love. Yeah.
And bring your hand to where you feel that. Yeah. Beautiful. So right there. So right there. Now you had access straight away. Straight away. And we could all feel it in your voice.
Making me cry on my podcast,
man. So that's it. That's what's firing and wiring in you right now, which we can all feel.
Yeah.
Serotonin, oxytocin. No additives needed. No MDMA, no psilocybin, no breath work, no nothing.
Yeah.
You just released serotonin, oxytocin. There we're beginning to open up neurological, physiological self-sovereignty. We had access to those neuropeptides ourselves. We always have, we always will.
Yeah.
So once that's there, cool. Imagine that level of love that you felt for holding your son in your arms for your first time. Being with that and then bringing up something that you're afraid of. And holding yourself in that same way. And that's where we start to get that process underway. But before we go into the other tools and the other skills, like go deep diving, we just want to make sure that we can build that resource out a little bit. Maybe for a day, a week, or a couple of weeks. It's like training to go to the gym or training to go climb a mountain, right? We want to do some steps before that so that when we go climbing, we can enjoy the view.
Whoa. If you enjoyed that one you just saw, you will love this one on the screen. Click it and enjoy.